What's up, guys? Today we're going to be comparing the Galaxy Note 10 Plus to the Galaxy S20 Ultra. If you guys are in the market for an older flagship, this video should help you guys out on making your decision. Alright, so let's go ahead and just talk about the price. So the Note 10 Plus will cost you around $300 to $350, and the S20 Ultra is in the same price bracket, $300 to $350. Let's go over the hardware differences real quick here. So the Note 10 Plus, both of them have a glass and metal design, and they're both IP68 dust and water resistant. They do have these slight differences. So the Note 10 Plus does have a more boxy feel and look to it. Yeah, so it does have the built-in stylus as well too. So that could be a big deciding factor here as well. So if the stylus is something that interests you, you guys can see here it works really well. Samsung has a ton of software, and really for people who like digital artwork or they just want to navigate with the stylus, you'll really like having a built-in stylus here. I use it all the time and jot down little notes and stuff like that. The S20 Ultra does not have any type of stylus on it. I will say the S20 Ultra to me is more comfortable because it's not as boxy. It fits in the palm much better in my opinion, and you do have a much bigger camera setup on the S20 Ultra as well too, which we will get into here. But as far as the hardware goes, these are two very nice looking phones, very nice feeling phones in the hand. Honestly, the S20 Ultra definitely a little bit thicker than the Note, and definitely a little bit heavier as well too. Alright guys, let's go ahead and talk about the displays on both of these phones. So again, minor differences, but I think this is actually a pretty big one here. So the S20 Ultra has a 6.9-inch display. It's dynamic AMOLED, 120 Hz. It's HDR10 Plus with a max brightness of 1400. And then you also have 1440p resolution with 511 for the PPI. So the S20 Ultra does have that 120 Hz advantage, but it's only in full HD. You can't use it in the Quad HD. The Note 10 Plus does have a full 1440p display at 6.8 inches. So it is actually slightly, just a hair smaller. You probably can't really notice, but it is just a little bit smaller. And it's also 1440p, 498 for the PPI, HDR10 Plus, and there is no 120 Hz on the Note 10 Plus. So do take that into consideration. If you're somebody that really likes 120 Hz and stuff like that, then you'll probably want to go with the the S20 Ultra here. As far as screen design, they both, again, the Note goes for a more boxy feel, which a lot of people like, and you also might like this more or less boxy and also slightly less curved display on the S20 Ultra as well too. So they both actually curve. So I'll show you guys. They both actually curve, but the S20 Ultra is not as dramatic as the Note 10 Plus. As you guys can see, that it's very slight, but it's not as dramatic. So it really comes down to personal preference on which screen design do you prefer. But as far as the screen specs, yes, the S20 Ultra does have a slightly better display, especially when it comes to being able to take advantage of the high refresh rate. But honestly, they both pretty much look the same. Honestly, me looking at both screens, they honestly look the same. I do think the S20 Ultra is a little bit brighter than the Note 10 Plus, just a little bit. But yeah, guys, as far as display, the only real big difference here is obviously the squared off design versus the more curved design, and then obviously the 120 Hz. Alright, so let's talk about the specs a little bit more here. So the Note 10 Plus has the Snapdragon 855. Its last major update was Android 12. It will get security patches from now on. And then you also have micro SD card support, 256 gigs of internal storage, and 12 gigs of RAM. That is the base model. And then for the S20 Ultra, it does have the Snapdragon 865. It also has micro SD card support. And then the base model is actually 128 and then 12 gigs of RAM. Now they do have the 256 gig floating around. You can get that very easily. But yeah, so when it comes to the overall general performance here, I really didn't notice too much of a difference, especially when launching applications and stuff like that. Like I said, I think both phones are pretty much going to be on par with each other in terms of speed. Like I said, the 855 and the 865 aren't that big of a jump, right? So when we're opening apps, they still feel the same. Where you will feel the difference is the 120 hertz. So I do have this running at 120 hertz. You will feel that difference there slightly, especially when scrolling and stuff like that. You will feel the difference between 120 hertz versus a 60 hertz panel for sure. Just overall scrolling is just going to be smoother. All right. So what about the additional features and stuff like that? Essentially the same. Everything's on here. Samsung desktop support, secure folders, reverse wireless charging is on here. All the bells and whistles are on here. Like I said, the Note does have the advantage of the S Pen, right? So I get the extra S Pen features as well too. So there is also another advantage that the S20 Ultra does for anybody that is like really into gaming. I noticed the S20 Ultra is able to play games at 90 hertz, or not 90 hertz, but 90 frames. So let's take a game for instance like PUBG. It's able to play this at 90 frames as opposed to the Note is not able to play. It's only able to play it at 60 frames. All right, so we got PUBG loaded up, and you know, just to show you guys, if you're a gamer, you can see that 90 frames there. If you're a gamer, the 90 frames does make a big difference. Everything is extremely instant, and it just feels like, you know, extremely smooth here. And the 60 hertz does feel very smooth and definitely playable, but I would say you see that option is not there. But I would say that it is a difference there. So if you're somebody that's really into gaming, you will have better settings on the S20 Ultra for sure there. So definitely take that into consideration. All right, so next I want to talk about the biometrics and the additional features. So basically they pretty much have the same fingerprint scanner as well too. They both can do face unlock. They both are very fast in terms of getting into your phone. And also, let's go ahead and check out the speakers on both of these devices here. We'll start with the Note. They pretty much sound identical in terms of sound. I want to make sure that my Dolby Atmos is on. Yeah, they sound exactly the same, so there's really no difference in terms of speaker quality. They both sound excellent in terms of speaker quality. Alright, so let's talk about, you know, one of the biggest differences here, and I'll show you guys these side-by-side stills, is the camera setup is pretty dramatically different here. So on the Note 10 Plus, it's just a 12 megapixel standard, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and then a 12 megapixel telephoto. It does 2x optical zoom. It shoots in 4K, and then you have a 10 megapixel selfie cam that also shoots in 4K 60. The S20 Ultra has a much better camera for zoom shots. So I would say the 30 times zoom shots are pretty amazing on this phone, but it does actually go up to 100 times zoom, which those photos aren't really that usable, but still. It has a 108 megapixel lens on here. It has also a 48 megapixel telephoto lens. It does up to 4x optical and then 10x hybrid zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 8K at 24, and then a 40 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60 as well. So basically the camera specs are just way better on the S20 Ultra. Better zoom, higher resolution shots. But I'm going to show you guys these side-by-side stills, and let me know what you guys think. Alright guys, here's the video on the S20 Ultra. Zoom in a little bit. Let me know how the mic sounds. Alright guys, here's the video on the Note 10. It's 2x. Again, let me know how the mic sounds. Alright, so lastly, the battery situation. So both these phones actually have a 45-watt charger. They both have reverse and wireless charging as well too. My battery experience, both these phones can do all-day battery life, but I think my S20 Ultra is getting better screen on time than my Note for sure there. This does have a slightly bigger battery than the Note as well too. Not too much bigger, but it is slightly bigger. And yeah, I just feel like I'm getting slightly better standby time as well too on the S20. So if I was to give a winner in terms of battery life, I would probably say the S20 has slightly better standby time and just slightly better battery life. But the Note 10 Plus will get you 6 hours of screen on time very easily. So yeah, guys, those are all of your pretty much major differences with these two phones here. Be sure to let me know what you guys thought, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.